Let's do it. What's going on, guys? It's Neil from Talk and Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning. The film is directed by John Hyams and it stars Scott Adkins, Dolph Lundgren, the man himself, Jean-Claude Van Damme. So this film is part of the Universal Soldier franchise, which started in about 1992, I believe. The original starred Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. The Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning starts with John, Scott Adkins' character, has been woken up by his daughter in the middle of the night to say that there are monsters downstairs. He, looking to reassure her, takes her downstairs to show her that there are no monsters, but it actually turns out there are monsters down there. So these masked men then kill his wife, kill his daughter, and leave John for dead. At the end of this sequence, it is then revealed that is actually Jean-Claude Van Damme's character, Luke Devereaux, from the original Universal Soldier series, that has killed his family. John's character then goes on a mission of discovery and revenge to try and figure out why this has happened to him, and obviously to get a revenge. This creates an atmosphere of, it's more of a horror film, that I'd say, more of a thriller. The atmosphere is definitely different tonally to the first three movies of the franchise. I suppose Regeneration did have a little bit of this, but I think this is cranked up to a next level in this film. So one of the first things that you'd want to know going into this film is, are the action sequences and are the fight sequences good? And my God, does this film deliver. So the first standout fight for me is the fight between Scott Adkins and Andre in the sports shop. Oh my God. The fight starts with a really cool car chase scene. The fight evolves from this car chase, then there's a crash, and then it moves location into this sports store where there's loads of like really fun props for the two fighters to be using. There's even a moment where Andre's throwing bowling balls at Scott Adkins and he's just breaking them. It's brilliant. And then the ending, the climax of that fight as well is amazing. Depending on which copy of the film that you saw, I've got the unrated version, but it ends with Scott absolutely obliterating Andre's head with a baseball bat. And depending on the version, it depends on how graphic you saw that, whether you actually saw the head explode or it cut away. So one of the cool things about this fight is that Scott Adkins' character John doesn't know his own strength. So at the beginning of the fight, it's very much one-sided towards Andre, and then about halfway through the fight, he just sort of looks at himself and he's like, do you know what? I'm actually quite hard. And he just absolutely just turns the fight on its head and absolutely obliterates him. And when I say obliterate, I mean obliterate. It's such an amazing fight. Definitely worth the admission price for me, just that fight alone. At the end of the movie, John ends up in the Universal Soldiers camp and is being tortured. This then triggers his rage mode. And when I say rage mode, I mean rage mode. So he goes from this chair and then he just goes on a rampage through this facility, and it's all done in one glorious take where you can see all the violence and all the action all the way through it. I've not seen a one take action scene this good since films like The Protector and Hammer scene from Old Boy, so I was really impressed with this. So if you want to get the most out of this film though, the best way to watch it for me would be, I got the steel book copy of the film, which comes with a 3D version. So the film was shot exclusively in 3D with the specialist cameras and everything, and it really does show with the action sequences, so you can see bits flying everywhere and there's a good depth to everything, especially on that last final fight scene through the facility, because you really do get a sense that you are in those tunnels in that very claustrophobic way. So that's really good. Now, I'm definitely recommend, if you do see the steelbook version of this film, whip that up straight away, because I've not seen a lot of those copies going around. After the fight in the facility, he then fights Dolph Lundgren and then Jean-Claude Van Damme in short succession. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really blown away by these fights, and the end fight with Jean-Claude Van Damme felt a bit anticlimactic. But then the way that the ending all tied in together, it did make the overall film an enjoyable experience. A couple of negatives that I would say about this film. there are certain parts in the film where there's a sound effect used, and I get why they've used the sound effect. It's just sort of, it's very, so what Scott Adkins' character is going through is quite a head fuck, and I think they're trying to portray that by playing this piercing sound through large parts of the film. Now, when I watched this film with people, I mean, it didn't bother me, but for people, they couldn't watch it. I had to turn the volume right down just on these scenes, so just watch out for those bits. Might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. End fight isn't as great as it could be, but then we've got the great fights with Andre, and then the hallway fight scene as well to keep you entertained. I thought Scott was really good. I really liked the scene where he played an identical twin of himself as well. He did actually feel like two separate characters, but when they were essentially the same, which I thought he did really well there. Jean-Claude Van Damme as the bad guy. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't great either. I felt as if he did try and do a bit of a Brando from Apocalypse Now, a little bit mysterious. Didn't really get a lot of screen time, just enough time to sort of know that this guy's meant to be the bad guy, apart from the twist in the end where you find out that he's not actually the bad guy, he's just been screwed over. Spoiler alert. Andrei Arlovsky, he was okay. His fights, like I said, I really enjoyed the fights in that. But as a character, he was pretty much just, he didn't really have a lot of lines. He had a good presence though. I thought Dolph Lundgren did a pretty competent job on this one as well. He sort of plays the second in command to Jean-Claude and makes sure all the Unisouls are alright. The fight scene was okay with Scott Adkins. I thought he kept up quite well, and it was a good entertaining fight. I wouldn't say it was one of his standout performances, but like I say again, he's done a really good job, and he's not hurt or hindered the film in any way. But of course, it was also nice as well. There were a few throwbacks to the original film and some of the things that Dolph said, so that was good. I really enjoyed the nostalgia feel in that. So as an action fan, I'd 100% recommend this film. A little bit of a hidden gem. I think you'd be quite surprised by it. If you like the video, give us a like, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell if you want to see some more content from us, and let us know in the comments what you thought was your best movie out of the franchise.